Hello, Video Game Hunter here, and welcome to my VGH Top 10. Well, today, I'm giving you guys my top 10 favorite Xbox games during its generation. Now, what this means is that this video is not my official top 10 Xbox games, because I have yet to play every single one for that system. So this video will not be like my top 5 32X games, where I have played and own every single one for that add-on here in the US, which is why I felt comfortable making that video. So this one, I'll just be focusing on my favorite Xbox games during the time that the Xbox was one of the main consoles from the 2001 to 2009. So, that said, let's get this list started. Number 10.
Spider-Man 2.
I'm not really into superhero comics all that much, but I do love Spider-Man. In the year 2000s, we got like 3 Spider-Man movies, and they all have their own video game adaptation. However, I think the one we were all most fond of was Spider-Man 2. Well, for me at least, because this was the first game that felt like they were combining Grand Theft Auto's open world game and Spider-Man together. So now, I can web swing across the city and help my fellow civilians in need, such like the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. What's also neat about this game is that they don't just follow the movie storyline, but they add side stories, side missions, and more characters like Black Cat, Rhino, and Mysterio. Number 9.
Sonic Heroes.
There was a time in my life where I was unable to play any new Sonic games, because instead of me getting a Sega Saturn, I went with a PlayStation. Then eventually an Xbox, which had a few Sonic games, but what made me want to get Sonic Heroes, because I saw a Sonic Hero cutscene on my little brother Sonic compilation game Sonic Mega Collection Plus, and one of the Sonic characters I never seen before made me want to give this game a try.
It's only love and that is all. Why should I feel the way I do?
Now, there's not much I can say about this Sonic game because it's pretty much what I expect from any game from its series, except now you can control 3 characters, and each character's ability will help you in certain situations. Now, in my opinion, this was like the last decent Sonic game we had for a bit, because after this one, we had some very questionable Sonic games, and we didn't get another decent one until, I guess, Sonic Generation. Number 8.
Fable.
During the time when we owned the Xbox, I remember looking at my games I owned at the time, and I noticed that I didn't own any M-rated games. Not even Halo, because my little brother had a copy, and at the time, I didn't see a reason to get my own, when I can just use my little brother's game. So I made a commitment to make sure my next game was M-rated. And what I ended up getting was Fable, and eventually the Lost Chapter version, which is really the one you should get. So Fable is a hack and slash RPG, and it's about a boy who dreams about becoming a famous hero. But his village ends up getting raided by bandits, and he eventually ends up living in the Heroes Guild, training to become a true hero. The game is more well known for having a choice affecting the character's appearances, and a little bit of the story. Now, if you do decide to get this game, again, go and pick up the Lost Chapter version, because the regular version is about 7 hours long, while the Lost Chapter version is around 10 or 12 hours long, and plus, extra content and updated feature is added to this version. Number 7.
Doom 3.
Oh yes, Doom 3. You know, fun fact about my past, when I decided to purchase this game, I had to get my older brother to buy it for me with my gift card because it was a mature rated game and I was a year short, and you had to be at least 17 to buy these at certain stores. So that's one fond memory about my older brother who really did me a solid that day. Anywho, Doom 3 is one of those games in the series that not everyone will like, especially since it's a completely different from the previous ones. Like, instead of having a run and gun and shooting up a shitload of monsters, it's mostly a survival horror game, and you'll be switching back and forth with your flashlight a lot. Which people did have a mixed opinion on, but I thought it made the game a bit more scarier. Especially when an unexpected monster appears. But if you can't get over the flashlight gimmick, I believe there's a updated version called Doom 3 Resurrections of Evil, where they have the flashlight attached to your gun to make your gameplay experience a little bit easier. Number 6.
Tony Hawk Underground.
Before we had any of the new consoles at the time, there was this one game that I really wanted to get, and this was one of those series that they did made a watered down version on the 3rd and 4th game for the PS1. But this one, I had to get a new console if I ever want to give this game a chance. So Tony Hawk's Underground is where they took the Tony Hawk series in a different direction. Instead of having just completing mission goals and just move on to the next level, they decided to add new features to this game, like story mode and the ability to get off your skateboard and walk. I know, mind-blowing. Why hasn't anyone thought of this before? It actually made things a little bit more easier to navigate and get to certain areas in this game. I kind of wish we gotten this ability a lot sooner in the previous games. Number 5.
Soul Calibur 2.
I have no clue what made me want to give this game a try. I just remember renting this game from a movie store, then eventually owning the game. So that said, there's really not much I can say about this one. If you enjoy the Soul Calibur series, I'm sure you'll enjoy this one just as much, or maybe a little bit more, because I thought this game is the best version out of the series, because I felt like the gameplay is a little bit faster than the other ones, in my opinion. And just an extra bonus, if you get this game on the Xbox, you also get Spawn as a playable character. Number 4.
Def Jam Fight for New York.
This game at first, I really had no interest playing, because at the time, I was really not into rap or hip hop music. But after some good convincing from my good friend from middle school, Josh, this is probably one of the best fighting or wrestling games out there. It's also one of the few games when you do a story mode, it really felt like I was watching a movie. Like Metal Gear Solid, except the cutscenes are not like 30 minutes long. And these artists really did a great job voice acting. Sure, I wish there was an option where I can select my moves I want on my custom character, but that is such a small complaint. For whatever reason you hate rap or hip hop music and you just want to beat the shit out of these artists, this is probably the best legal way to blow off some steam. Number 3.
Mortal Kombat Deception.
This game was completely different from all the other Mortal Kombat games we played at the time. Not counting Deadly Alliance, since we haven't played that game yet before owning this one, but the last Mortal Kombat game we played in the series was Mortal Kombat 4. And again, this game is completely different, and it shows how far they went with the 3D. This game wasn't your simple Mortal Kombat game anymore. Each character now have their own 3 different movesets, and each one is actually based off of real martial art. This game also offers a lot of new features, like Conquest, which is basically story mode, chess, puzzle combat, and harakiri. Yeah, apparently you can choose to end your own life if you lost a match. Gosh, I wish they brought this finisher back, because my brother and I used to race each other to see who can pull off the final move. And once, we actually did the final move at the same time, and we ended up causing a glitch to happen. Number 2.
Amped 2.
Out of all the Xbox games, the one that made me want to get an Xbox was Amp 2. This was during the time that I wanted to find a new snowboarding game or series to play besides Cool Borders. Especially since they fucked up on Cool Borders 3, 4, and so on. But I ended up finding this game on a Xbox kiosk somewhere, and it had a demo version of Amp 2. Now this snowboarding game, for the most part, is pretty basic, and there is no story mode. But that's okay. The game starts out really easy, and the more goals you complete, the harder it gets. Which is the way it's supposed to be. But boy, completing some of these objectives can be a real bitch. Especially when you're forced to learn how to do these stylish moves. And to pull these moves off, you have to do these flips and spins very slowly. Which means you have to move your left analog stick in a very awkward position. And when I mean awkward, I mean you can get blisters on your thumbs after playing this game for hours. And no, I'm not joking. I literally got blisters on my thumbs, and I end up destroying the rubber padding on my analog stick from playing this game hours on end. It may not be the best snowboarding game, but I love this game. Number 1.
Halo Combat Evolved and Halo 2.
Yeah, you guys are probably absolutely not surprised about this, except maybe the fact that I listed maybe both of these games as number 1, and there is a good reason for that, and it's because these two games is what we played the most during the Xbox generation. You see, what we did was, my older brother would get a bunch of his friends to come over, and we would have a LAN party. It didn't matter which Halo game we played, because they're both good games in their own way, and we would spend hours yelling, screaming, and having a good time. Now, it's just not the multiplayer that made this game really great, but I love the campaign and its story, which is about a gigantic man-made ring that's able to support life like a planet, and there's a very dangerous weapon inside these rings that can help wipe out these creatures known as the Floods, but not without a heavy cost. And that was my top 10 Xbox games during its generation. Now, I might be doing a couple of these top 5 or top 10 lists, but not too many since I didn't own every single system during the time, like the GameCube, Atari 2600, or the Super Nintendo. However, if there's any system that you'd like me to do a top 5 or top 10 for, please leave a comment down below and I'll be glad to make another list. So I guess that's it for today. This is the Video Game Hunter, and until next time, goodbye.
People call me Starlight, it's like, and I flow again like this. Hove and I also steal my own beats, it's easy. And I compare myself to Jay-Z and shit on the plazy. I hang out with rock stars just like Angie, easy. I chill in bed with the chick that looks like the crush of Spike, but honestly